That damn illness is over and the conquistador is back, baby. I'm Dave Hyde along with
the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Here we are with Sports Frenzy 2.0, recording Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. This will hit, as always, on Thursday morning, the 26th. As usual this time of year, we're continuing leading off with the NFL, given a recap of everything that happened in the divisional round.
We only got a few weeks left. Only a few short weeks left. 3 games left now before the end of the football season. Mass hysteria, people jumping off buildings, dogs and cats mating. The end of the world as we know it until we get to August.
Yep. So we'll just have to make do with everything else.
Yeah, the divisional round was not the greatest I've ever seen. 4 games, some intrigue, some drama.
Yep.
But for the most part, the teams that we expected to win, they won rather handily.
Except the Bills that we pretty much almost all of us took.
But it wasn't a shock.
It wasn't a shock that the Bengals won. What was a shock was how poorly the Bills played.
Yeah, and let's find that we're jumping ahead here to that game, because this is the one that's got the most topics, in my opinion, to discuss. And my number one question about this game, of course, the Bengals won 27-10 in the snow up in Buffalo, pretty much dominated. And I have been saying for the last week or two that the Bengals got screwed. And I'll tell you what, number one, Zach Taylor has turned out to be an unbelievable head coach. How he turned this all into motivation. Joe Burrow, got to be one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he definitely played like it.
Why is nobody, because you and I both had the Bills running through the entire NFL and winning it this year. We said this was going to be the year that the Bills finally broke the curse.
Yep.
Year after year after year with Jim Kelly, they couldn't pull it off. This was going to be it. Josh Allen, MVP.
They've got holes.
Why is nobody, and I have heard nobody here over the last 4 or 5 days, calling out Sean McDermott as the head coach? Why is nobody calling out Leslie Frazier for another pathetic job
on the
as defensive coordinator? I get tired of looking at him with his scowl. He just stands there and he scowls. And I love Leslie Frazier. He's a Bears legend. But this is why.
This, once again, that Bills defense was a sieve. They could not stop anything. It was pathetic.
And this is why last year he didn't get any head coaching offers, because of what happened with Kansas City.
Yep. Once again.
In the divisional round.
Yeah. Once again, when it was all on the line, that defense failed to show up.
I thought a lot of Bengals receivers were wide open. I thought the Bengals owned the line of scrimmage.
They
not
did.
Not only their defense, but that makeshift offensive line somehow kept Joe Burrow upright, which is unforgivable.
And the holes they opened up for the running game.
Yep.
I mean,
But nobody's calling out. I am telling you, if I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and I'm not, I know Mrs. C is.
She was livid.
Why is nobody
performance?
Why aren't the Buffalo Bills sitting there right now going,
who do we get?
Could we give up a couple first-round picks for Mr. Sean Payton? And Sean Payton, despite the fact that the weather is awful, and there's not much to do in Buffalo other than wings. Sorry, Bills fans. But he's walking into a ready-made situation where he could win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years.
Easily.
Because their window is
place.
Starting to close, but he's still got time. But they would have to do it right now. They are going to, I guarantee this. I'm doing a sports frenzy, stupid-ass maestro guarantee. If they do not change head coaches and they do not change defensive coordinators, And all they do is, well, we'll get a better running game because we don't have a running game. We'll go out and spend money on a running back. You will not ever again in this cycle, in this window, win a Super Bowl.
Nope, I agree with you completely on that. The defense is what really let them down. And a lack of any type of creativity on the offense as well. They look like they had no game plan for that offense at all. Diggs doesn't get anything thrown his way, especially late when the game is on the line. They completely ignored him. No wonder he got pissed off at the end of the game and stormed out of the locker room.
Yep, and that's where you started to see the cracks. You know, everything was great, everything was fine, and it shocked me because I was the guy screaming, the NFL's going to make this happen. The football gods are going to make this happen because of what happened with Hamlin.
Yep.
You know, this is all coming together.
Karma would rally around the Bills, and it was not to happen.
Nope. And
inept coaching.
Then you start hearing the rumors. They show this figure in the Bills boxes. And then people start going, was that really Damar Hamlin? Or was it just somebody posing as Damar Hamlin? He wasn't really well enough to be there.
Whatever.
Jesus
shut
God.
up. The Bengals flat out dominated that game from open to close.
And we're not doing our picks yet for the conference championship for the AFC. But I'm telling you, the Bengals over the last 2 years have owned their two major rivals, the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep. Speaking of the Chiefs, let's finish off the AFC division. Chiefs over the Jaguars 27-20. It was probably one of the more entertaining games to watch.
Yeah, again, none of the 4 games in the divisional round, sadly, 7 points or more were the deciding margins in all 4 games. So not really any nail biters per se.
No.
The Jags tried a little bit at the end. They made a couple mistakes.
They're still a young team growing. This is Peterson's first year with them. He's got to exercise all that crap that Urban Meyer laid upon him last year.
But great point of comparison, talking about the Bills versus the Jaguars. Jaguars, nobody's saying anything but positive things about them losing 27-20 at Arrowhead.
Yeah, they were completely in that game. And the Chiefs looked vulnerable.
And, of course, Pat Mahomes.
Supposed high ankle sprain suffered in that, went out for a little while. I'm sorry. He should not have been in there in the second half on that ankle.
Yeah, when you say supposed, we're saying it could be worse.
It could be, possibly.
We're shocked that there wasn't a hairline fracture in there somewhere.
Yeah, the way he got landed.
We definitely believe there's a high ankle sprain,
yeah,
but that's the bare minimum.
The severity of it is what's in question, because supposedly, here as we are recording on Wednesday, reports are he was a full participant in practice and is all set to start in the conference championship. He is one misstep away from really hurting himself.
And I believe I heard weather forecasts for Kansas City this weekend, temperature closing in on the single digits.
Yeah, it's going to be a major cold front coming through.
It will not help that ankle at all.
No, the Bengals are going to be after him.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And again, the Jaguars, because we'll talk more about the Chiefs when we get to our picks for the conference championships. The Jaguars have got things that looks like turned around. They spent a ton of money on free agents, which worked out for the most part.
Yeah.
They've had back-to-back number 1 picks. Those picks look like they're working out for the most part. Trevor Lawrence looks like he's finally getting it.
Yeah. Let's face it. Urban Meyer did that team no favors.
Cost him a year.
Yeah.
Cost him a year. If Doug Peterson had been in there from the start, Trevor Lawrence would be well ahead of the curve right now.
Yeah. So we'll see. Watch out for the Jags next year.
They should dominate that division. Now,
There's
of course,
no reason they shouldn't.
They're still gonna have to fight through the Bills, the Chiefs in the future, the Bengals, but that's out of their division, in conference, out of division.
Right.
They should be able to destroy the Titans, the Colts, and the Texans next year.
And the next couple years. Come on.
At least.
At least.
And here's the other thing. You've got a rich owner, Shad Khan, who's not afraid to spend money. Guaranteed, Trevor Lawrence here in 2 years when he's eligible will get a max contract extension if
he continues to develop.
He did second half of this year.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. We talked about the Saturday afternoon game on the 21st. Now we go to the night game, which was supposed to be a lot better than what it turned out to be.
Yeah, this was a one-sided affair, a royal ass-kicking that the Eagles put upon the Giants.
Even with Jalen Hurts not at 100% because he's got a shoulder issue. And I got lucky here. I could see the Giants having enough momentum to beat the Vikings the week before, but I also could tell that they didn't have enough to beat a rested, solid roster with the Eagles.
Right. The Eagles are a complete team. And, yeah, the Giants are not there yet.
No, they're going to have to
spend some money. They've made improvements. They've got the coaching staff in place, but they've got a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah, they've had some good drafts, but they're going to have to bring in some free agents, especially wide receivers, maybe somebody on the defense to help shore things up. Then they have to decide the worst possible thing for a team coming up like they are. Like you said, great head coach now with Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
Now they have to decide, are we going to pay Daniel Jones how much? Are we going to pay Saquon Barkley how much?
Yep, they declined the fifth-year option on Jones, so now they're behind the eight ball with this.
Yes.
Are they going to sign him to a deal, or are they going to just tag him and see what happens?
And if they do that, then they have to either sign Barkley to a long-term deal or let him go.
Barkley's out, says he wants to stay with the team and he doesn't want to break the bank. He's not looking to set a record.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see. It sounds good, but when agents get involved, all bets are off.
Yes. Thank God Scott Boras isn't representing anybody in the NFL. God help us if he got into the NFL and was representing.
It's over. It's all over.
God. Oh, my God. All right, so we talked about the Bengals and the Bills. So the late game on Sunday, the 22nd, probably the most entertaining of all four. The Cowboys going into Santa Clara to play the 49ers. The legend of Brock Purdy continues.
And the disappointing Dak Prescott reared his ugly head again.
Did you hear what happened? They announced today, even though they'd supposedly been keeping it on the QT, but it finally broke today that he broke up with his girlfriend too, or she broke up with him. Now, this happened a while back. This happened like 10 months ago.
Sure.
In this day and age, you're not keeping a secret like that for 10 months.
No, sorry.
Natalie
not gonna
Buffett
happen.
is his girlfriend. And somehow the news leaks today that they've broken up, but they were able to keep it on the QT for 10 months.
No, not in this age of social media.
Poor Dak. Poor Dak. And again, now we're starting to hear all these things with Aaron Rodgers, with Lamar Jackson, now with Dak Prescott. Can we trade him? What's the dead cap hit? How can we make this work so both teams can get what they want? Draft picks, the quarterback they want, the big name.
Yep. And another abysmal showing from Mike McCarthy.
And again, this is going to be something we're going to talk about here in another minute. These head coaches are getting away with murder, in my opinion. You weren't here last week to talk about my man, Brandon Staley. And we'll get to him in a second. All these NFL head coaches, for some reason, are getting away with, we'll fire the guy under me. I blame him. I blame him. I blame him. How about you take responsibility?
Are the head coach. You are ultimately responsible for all decisions made for the preparation of the team and their mindset going in.
Well, going back to the Bills, no repercussions for Leslie Frazier or McDermott.
No.
Somebody at least paid in these other scenarios we're going to get to, but it's the wrong people who are paying the price.
Now, Jerry Jones has been awfully quiet this week. I guess he did not make his regular appearance on the radio show.
And God knows you put a microphone in front of him.
He will take any opportunity to spout off. So, what is he working on? What is he throwing at the Saints to get Sean Payton?
I don't think that's it. You want to know my conspiracy? Now, I'm not the first one to say this, but TB12. Tom Brady to the Dallas Cowboys. Just putting it out there. I know. And I'm not the first one. No, other people have said it.
Tampering already on the QT.
Now, there's conspiracy theories about, we've all seen the great catch that George Kittle made where he bouncy the ball. If you look at the replay and you look at how they lined up, and this has only been coming out here within the last 24, 36 hours.
Oh, wasn't it an illegal formation?
He was covered. Kyle Juszczyk was on his left. But Kittle was covered by the defensive lineman, therefore technically not eligible receiver on the play. Now people are fighting back and forth about it, all the NFL pundits and experts. Yes, it was okay. No, it wasn't okay. Too late now. Can't take it back.
Yep, it's over and done with.
All right. So
of course, Cowboys still have kicking issues.
He seemed like he got over him after the first extra point against the 49ers. Now, I agree with everybody who said he was going to miss that. That ball looked like it was not going to make it.
It wasn't.
Even though it was blocked.
Yeah.
But after that, he seemed to settle down. So I think I can't blame Maher for this one.
No, you can't. It was
this
everybody else.
It's on Dak. He threw 2 picks. You cannot throw those 2 picks in that last play. Oh, my God.
What in God's name was that horrific
I loved seeing Ezekiel Elliott get knocked off his ass. I mean, and I was like, do I have to watch this lateral thing 15 times? Thank God the 49ers. The minute Dak threw the ball to the receiver, the guy was there, flattened him. We're done.
Game over. Peace out.
San Francisco moves on. All right, so let's get into this topic I alluded to. Some more coordinator changes. Now, I talked about some last week. I mentioned Brandon Staley. You weren't here. I am mad beyond belief.
Brandon Staley is the one whose head should have rolled in that situation.
But what did they do? They fired their offensive coordinator. Instead of firing Brandon Staley,
who put them in the situation with missing their key receiver.
Because he played him when he shouldn't have in Week 18. Now we've got more this week. Lamar Jackson throws his little hissy fit. I still think he could have played. Michael Vick said he could have played. Michael Vick said, I played with a sprained MCL. I put a brace on it and I got out there.
Yeah.
But Lamar Jackson doesn't want to play.
Because he's a little China doll in training.
And who do they blame? They fire offensive. Well, they didn't fire him. They gave him the dignity of allowing him to resign. Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, resigns.
Sorry, it wasn't fully on him.
And now are we going to have another Kyler Murray situation? where Lamar Jackson's going to get input on who the new OC is?
This is getting absolutely ridiculous.
I would love to
You do not let the frickin' players have a say in coaching decisions.
I would love to be a fly on the wall to hear how John Harbaugh thinks about this.
Ugh.
I can't. He's got to be sitting there going, let's just reset it. Let's just draft the quarterback.
And be done with it.
Or sign Garoppolo or sign Derek Carr. Jesus God, get me out of this.
Yeah, get me away from this head case.
And, of course, the Jet fans are all out there going crazy because we can get Lamar Jackson. We can get Aaron Rodgers. Why would you want either one of them?
You don't want either one.
Again,
you got
Jimmy G, Derek Carr.
You've got an aging Aaron Rodgers who had his worst season. He looked abysmal.
He looked like he didn't care. He looked apathetic.
Most of the time, yeah. Yeah. All right, had the broken thumb. All right, he's had injuries he's played through before and stepped it up. He checked out on this team.
Now, again, another team. Now, this is a first-year coach, so I understand they're not going to fire him like the Broncos fired Nathaniel Hackett.
Hackett was just a disaster, period.
And my mind is still spinning from the fact that people are still saying that is the number one destination for Sean Payton. Why would he want to go there?
Why would you deal with Russell Wilson and that inept
If I'm the Chargers ownership, I'm like, fire Staley and start talks immediately.
Yeah, you do. Oh, my God.
You bring in Sean Payton for the LA Chargers. They are immediately one of the top 3 teams in the league. Just saying. We should be running the league. We should be running all these teams, but that goes without saying, even though we said it. The Vikings, what was their problem?
What wasn't?
Well, this one they finally maybe got right, as opposed to all these other teams. They fired their defensive coordinator, Ed Donatel, because they had a toilet paper sieve defense that the Giants destroyed.
The Giants walked all
in
over them.
Minnesota.
Minnesota's defense was susceptible all season.
And that's the thing. I couldn't understand why people couldn't see they were smoke and mirrors. They were the definition of smoke and mirrors. Shut down Justin Jefferson, you're fine. Make sure they can't put up 20 points. You'll be able to with
Easily.
No problem. With your second stringers, no problem. Now the Patriots.
We knew what their problem was.
Well, Belichick, we know, is smart. So he fixed it.
Yeah, he was trying to be loyal to a former coach, and it backfired on him miserably.
For 1 year.
For 1 year.
But now he has fixed the problem.
Yep. He said,
Matt Patricia, he tried it. He tried to take a defensive guy and make him an offensive guy.
And it bombed horribly.
So he brings in his old buddy,
Yep.
Bill O'Brien. So now you got to wonder, are we going to see a turnaround? I'm not comparing the two, but are we going to see a turnaround with Mac Jones, similar to what we saw with Trevor Lawrence?
It's possible.
I mean, not to
Mac
that extent.
Jones took a complete reversal backwards.
Because he went from Josh McDaniels to Matt Patricia, and now he's going to Bill O'Brien. So this kid's head spinning.
Yeah.
He's going to be on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years.
That's not a good situation.
But now they might have finally got it right. For you, my Dolphins fan, again, another situation where blame gets laid on a coordinator. Defensive coordinator Josh Boyer fired.
I do not have any problem with the defensive coordinator being fired because that defense disappeared down the line as well. They should have been more stout with the additions they made. They got progressively worse as the year went on instead of getting better.
I got to be honest with you.
I'm not impressed with the head coach either.
Again, something I discussed last week on my own.
Yeah.
The guy is vaping on the sidelines? Who is he, Brittany Griner? God help us. Hopefully he doesn't travel to Russia anytime soon.
No kidding. Now, that team.
And they said he was going to get
issues.
fined. I never heard about a fine for him vaping on the sidelines.
Not yet. We'll see. But yeah.
And I don't think it was anything other than the ganja, the wacky weed. Because you listen to him since he got hired. His whole tone, his whole demeanor. He sounds like Leo from that 90s show, that 70s show, whatever you want to reference.
Hey, man, it's all going to be fine.
No, I had this copy of Clerks for 6 years, man. That's a little preview of the weekend.
That would be a teaser.
Yes. And my Buccaneers aren't any better. My Buccaneers aren't any better because who do they blame?
The problem is Todd Bowles.
And who do they blame? The guy I like, the offensive coordinator. They fire Byron Leftwich and 5 other coaches,
but you
plus 3 more retiring.
Bowles. Seriously, Bowles was the problem.
And so no kidding, no shit, as the kids say, that Tom Brady's looking to go elsewhere.
Well, yeah.
He's not retiring. I guarantee he's not retiring. I love what he said to Jim Gray on that podcast. Tom, everybody's wondering
what's your time frame?
Yeah, what do you got planned for the future? Well, if I fucking knew what I was going to fucking do, I'd fucking tell you. Love Tom Brady, the GOAT. Love the GOAT. The man just got divorced.
Give him a break.
And yeah, little pissant Jim Gray badgering him. Well, that seemed like that question got under your skin.
You think?
And Tom composed himself.
Jim.
No, he composed himself at that point and said, you're scratching, but thanks for asking the question. Basically, in code, telling his butt buddy, back off.
All right.
We're going to have to do our picks in the second segment.
Yep. More Miami stuff. Tua's tweet. What the hell does it mean? He's got a picture of himself in the huddle next to a picture of him kind of walking through the fog, almost like it's going out for the start of a game.
That's kind of like what Brady did when he left New England.
Yeah, that's when one chapter ends, another begins. Proud of the last one, excited for the next one. Is he hanging up the helmet? Or is he just looking forward to next season?
That wouldn't shock me. And, of course, Brady could be in play for Miami, too.
Again.
Yeah. We already know with the tampering stuff.
Yeah. So, who knows what the hell's going on? All right.
We will do our picks for the 2 conference championships next segment. Couple last little tidbits to get through here. The AP have announced their 5 MVP finalists. I hate how they do this now, where they announce the finalists ahead of time.
It's so stupid.
It drains the drama out of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Here are your 5 finalists. And please, try not to have a heart attack when you hear how shocking these 5 are. Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. Oh, my God.
Wow. What a shock.
The only thing I would say is, again, no defensive player. And I'm glad.
Surprised there's a non-quarterback.
I was going to say, Jefferson is my MVP. Jefferson's my MVP.
Hands down,
but he'll never win it. He'll never win it.
That Vikings team.
And when they shut him down, that team falls apart. And then finally, going back to the Cowboys one last time, how about Governor Greg Abbott of Texas? Ripping in a tweet into Brett Maher. I can kick better than the Dallas kicker.
All right, I want to see this. I would love to see this.
Well, we'll see Gronk do it at the Super Bowl, right?
Yep. The kick of destiny. Ooh.
We'll be right back, kids.
This episode of Sports Frenzy 2.0 is brought to you by the Bills Mafia Marital Aid Company. Because when you are down and out, we'll bring you back up and in the game. Sports Frenzy 2.0 on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher.
Welcome back to Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
We are getting set to give you two of our final three NFL picks for the 2022-2023 season. It brings tears to my eyes because we're almost done with yet again another football season. I could be optimistic and say that means NASCAR and baseball on the horizon, but this is football. No fantasy football, no football picks.
No college football.
For 8 months.
8 dreary, trudge along, squeak out your existence until they put the pads back on in August. God, how depressing.
You will not be rid of us. We will find a way each and every Thursday morning to give you the best in football analysis, criticism, breakdowns on
Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher!
I couldn't do that last week.
And everywhere fine podcasts are found.
I had to get out my nutcracker and squeeze the boys a little bit to get that eye.
You just have to run yourself out of breath and then kind of do the intake as you do it.
All right. Dave and I are going to wrap up the second to last most meaningful weekend of the NFL season with our picks for the AFC and the NFC Conference Championships. And we have two stellar matchups.
Very good matchups coming down the line here.
Now, we have to point out that we have a competition going on here. Of course, each and every year, we do our picks competition. Usually we pick 360, 370, 380 games. This year we're going to end up picking 400 games.
And whose fault is that?
I don't have a problem with it. I spaced them out well enough where it wasn't a tiresome burden on me. I didn't do like Bill does with Sports Frenzy West, where he has 1 week where he's picking 50 games.
That's just insanity.
I spread it, so it's only like between 20 and 25. For the most part, every week.
Yep. So the dogfight is on for the Rick Shaggy Brooks Memorial Cup.
Now, unfortunately, Dave and I traded picks blindly.
Yep.
Because Dave was only 2 back.
I'm out, Jerry.
And Bill's 1 back of me. Dave and I agreed on both of our picks. So, yeah.
So I'm out.
Mathematically, Dave cannot win the Rick Shaggy Brooks trophy. For me, it's very nerve-rattling because I have to beat Bill. If I beat Bill, I get the Pentafrenzy. If Bill wins, I lose the Pentafrenzy to Aaron. And Bill's got the tiebreakers, I think, on me.
I think he does.
Because he was the only one, I believe, that took Pat Mahomes as MVP. And I think that's going to happen.
God help us. So
I need to beat him. He's 1 back. His picks are not in yet. It's not his fault. We're trying to make sure. Oh, God, do you think he's listening to the podcast? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
He can listen to the podcast and cheat.
He could, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no, he's not.
He'll have him in early. He doesn't listen to the podcast. Come on.
I know. There's only 4 people out there.
Wagon.
There's only 4 people who, and we know who you are. All right. Early Sunday, January the 29th. 49ers on the road playing the Eagles in Philadelphia. You have got the aforementioned legend of Brock Purdy.
Yep.
You've got a guy who's starting to get better, I've got to believe, with all this time off each and every week in Jalen Hurts.
That shoulder's healing up a little bit more.
They've got 2 or 3 good running backs. They've got 2 or 3 good wide receivers, a good tight end.
They've got a solid defense.
Who could I be talking about? I could be talking about either one of these teams, except
we are
for the
talking
quarterback.
about the Eagles.
Yes.
You and I and Sam and Aaron at this point are taking the Eagles. I flirted with the Niners, who Jen, Nick, and Doug are taking right now. But Brock Purdy went up against a good Dallas defense and looked mortal. And the Eagles defense is just as stout.
3rd most sacks in NFL history.
Yeah.
And I believe one of the teams that's better, the Bears. The Bears.
So
I just like to stick. I have to put that
that's the
in
85 Bears.
That
Greatest
tells you how. That
defense
tells you
ever.
should tell you how good this Eagles defense is.
Yeah.
I believe it's Bears, Vikings, and Eagles, the top 3 all time.
Yeah. So
I don't like this being on the road for the 49ers.
no,
That's my
I
problem.
don't either.
Hostile environment. He's going to have batteries thrown at his head in Philadelphia. No, seriously.
No,
At some point,
the Brock Purdy balloon is going to pop.
Yes.
He's got to come back to earth. It's been a great story, and I think the kid should get the opportunity to start next year.
Perfectly said. That's what I was going to go with as well, is that let's hope that if he has a subpar game here, they don't automatically write him off.
They can't. I mean, he's come in. It's a development year for him.
Next year's going to be a development year for him. Think about this. He needs next year. Can you imagine how good he could be in 2024? Jimmy G's gone. They can keep Trey Lance if they want as a backup. I would try to trade him.
I would try
myself.
and get rid of Lance. Let's face it, Trey Lance has not been impressive in any way, shape, or form in any game he's ever been in.
Right. It's kind of like the Packers with Jordan Love. Yeah, you want to move on, but
you don't.
Can you?
We don't know what Jordan Love can do. He hasn't had any opportunity.
Yeah, I just think at home the Eagles win this game. Probably going to be, I know I'm going out on a limb here, this could be a blowout.
It's got the potential.
I could see the Eagles winning this by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Definitely at home, for sure.
Yeah, and the San Francisco defense, as great as they've been all year, have shown some cracks here late in the season. They let up a lot of points to the Raiders with Jarrett Stidham. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, with Stidham.
You could see Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown's mad because he didn't get just like Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, mad because he didn't get enough
catches.
Yep.
Not enough targets.
Yep, because Jalen Hurts went to Goddard and Devontae Smith.
But you know what? If you're being covered, you can't get the ball.
I think this could be, again, a 2-touchdown blowout. Eagles win. Dave agrees. Waiting on Bill's pick.
Yep.
Tense moments for me because, again, the Penta Frenzy hangs in the balance.
All right. Moving on to the AFC Championship in the late game. Bengals go to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs.
Another great game. Another great game. Now, everybody's looking at this and going 3 in a row for the Bengals over the Chiefs.
Can they do
stretching
it
this
4
back
times
through last year? And everybody's going, no, can't happen, can't happen. Need I remind everybody what happened last week with the Giants and the Eagles? Giants fans were saying, you can't beat a team 3 times in the same year. You can't do it. Giants going to win. What happened? Eagles blew the doors off of the Giants. They won all 3 games this season.
It can be done.
Joe Burrow is right now the hottest quarterback in the NFL. This team is going back to last year is on a roll. They believe in each other. They have got weapons up the yin yang.
Yep, and I'm sorry, let's face it, Kansas City's defense is not that stout.
No, and I heard somebody breaking down all four of these teams. The one team where they said not a great defense, the Kansas City Chiefs.
And then what kind of shape is Mahomes going to be in? Is he even going to play? How long will he play?
Here's another question. I'm willing to concede. I love Kellen Winslow. Back in the day with the San Diego Chargers. Thought he was the greatest tight end of all time. I am willing to reconsider now with Travis Kelce. But here is my question. There's a difference. Kellen Winslow was a physical beast. He was tall. He was tough. It seems like Travis Kelce, nobody's ever around him.
Nobody covers him.
That's what I'm saying. If you cover Travis Kelce, what the hell is Pat Mahomes going to do?
Out of the game. Nobody checks him at the line. He's always wide open. Who else? Why would you cover anybody else?
Yeah, I keep hearing people, Kadarius Toney is such a weapon. Kadarius Toney got traded less than 2 years into his NFL career as a first-round pick because the Giants didn't think he was motivated enough to give a damn. And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe he's going to become Patrick Mahomes' weapon of choice if they double cover Travis Kelce.
When has Juju...
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. Juju Smith-Schuster, when has he ever been a factor this year?
You got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You got a couple good running backs, but I'm sorry.
Kelce is the one you have to take out of the game.
I don't think this will be a blowout because of the home field advantage at Arrowhead. But I don't know if we're going to have an exciting weekend because I could see the Bengals winning this by 7 points.
Potentially, yes.
We don't do point spreads.
We don't. So,
straight up Bengals.
Straight up Bengals. Same for Sam, Doug, and Aaron. So far, Jen and Nick are going with the Chiefs.
So there you go, kids.
Waiting on Bill.
That is your NFL wrap-up. As always, takes a little longer because that is our sport of choice. Now, unfortunately for Dave, we have to get into Major League Baseball.
And the abysmal Mike Clevenger, who could be possibly pond scum if these allegations are true with the physical and emotional abuse he put upon his wife and young child. If all of this is true, this guy is below the barrel, a complete scumbag. And I didn't like the signing to begin with. I thought they were going out on a limb bringing him in. But hearing this, and then remembering he was at the center with Plesac and another pitcher in Cleveland who voided all COVID protocols going out. They all got suspended by the team. They didn't bring him back. Obviously, there were issues in San Diego where they didn't even try and keep him. So, obviously not a great individual. And here I am, once again, suffering with a stupid decision.
Yeah, I didn't look into this much. I basically have heard the summaries. I have heard, the obvious physical aspects of it. I've heard the chewing tobacco thrown on an infant stuff, which in and of itself isn't abuse. It's just disgusting and terrible. But yeah, why don't you sign Trevor Bauer?
Why not?
I'll tell you, I think right now Trevor Bauer looks better than Clevenger.
He does. And
because you're dealing with adults, arguably consensual.
Right. This there's no
This
consent
involves
to
a
it.
child.
I have a lot of issues. Why the hell hasn't she gone to the police with any of this?
And unfortunately, we talk
And
about this far too often
we
on
do.
Sports Frenzy. And it's not going to be done anytime soon.
No,
it seems
this
like
is going to
each
be
and
a
every
long,
week.
drawn-out process. MLB, we wouldn't have known about it if she wouldn't have made it public with a social media post. Because by agreement, any investigation is kept quiet from all teams and all parties. So the White Sox would have had no clue about this investigation going on. Obviously, they didn't do great due diligence on finding out what kind of teammate he was, because you knew there were issues in Cleveland. And why didn't the Padres want to bring him back? So they're culpable on one front, but not on this part of it. So I'm ready to cut bait with him because he's not going to be around for the season.
Yeah,
Obviously,
teams have eaten far more for far less.
Yeah. So
Ask the Cubs.
It's $12 million. You know, you can put him on the reserve list and wait to see, and then find out how many games he's going to be suspended, and then cut bait and just cut him a check for whatever else he would have played and be that far out. But this is a no-win situation. Just cut bait with him and be done with it. You don't want the circus and the headache.
All right, sticking with the AL Central, lots of activity within this division. This was
A
really
hell of a lot going on.
Number one, the Kansas City Royals decide to take a chance on Aroldis Chapman.
That was a surprising pickup.
Now the Royals turn around and they trade a couple players because, again, they're not trying.
Right.
Because baseball doesn't give them any incentive to try.
Nope. So they trade a Gold Glove outfielder in division to the Twins for a couple of pitching prospects.
Yep, Michael A. Taylor.
Yep.
And they also trade, granted, injury prone, but when he has been healthy, when he has played very well, Adalberto Mondesi goes from the Royals to the Red Sox. Hopefully, they're hoping filling that gap from losing Bogarts to the Padres. Now, your main rival, I think this is a great move for the Twins. Sorry.
Oh, it is. The Twins are trying to get better. The Sox are not trying to do anything, as usual.
This guy has been, Pablo Lopez has been the young pitcher that everybody has been trying to pry from the Miami Marlins since last season at the trade deadline. The Yankees wanted him. The Twins acquire Pablo Lopez and two other players from the Marlins for AL batting champ Luis Arias.
I'm not sad to see him leave the division.
And that's the thing. The Marlins, everybody's going to say, well, it's the Phillies, it's the Mets, it's the Braves in the NL East. And the Marlins are trying to keep up. The Nationals might just as well quit playing baseball.
Yeah, just be done.
But the Marlins are trying.
They're making
They had the depth at pitching to eventually get rid of Pablo Lopez. That's what everybody wanted. That's what the Yankees were exploring. Yeah. There were other teams looking to get him. The Twins say, we'll give you what you need. You need to bolster your batting. You need to get an on-base guy. Yep. We will give you the AL batting champ.
We need pitching.
This is a good trade for both teams, especially
for the Twins.
And the Twins now, late here in the silly season,
the team to beat in the Central this year.
Yes, late in the silly season, with them getting Carlos Correa out from under the San Francisco Giants, the New York Mets, and now getting Pablo Lopez from the Marlins. Very good late silly season moves.
Yeah, they're They are going to be set this year. Pitching is what killed them last year, and they have shored that up on all fronts.
The LA Angels are no longer for sale.
No, Artie Moreno pulls them off the block.
That's shocking to me.
I know, he's letting emotions get the better of him.
You've got a massive pending decision with Shohei Ohtani. Do you break the bank and keep him on a team where right now they're not even close to contending?
No. We've talked about how much money they have wrapped up in a couple of players. And to try and keep Ohtani, you're never going to be able to put anybody around him.
Yeah, the Rendon signing was just abysmal. That is reminiscent, unfortunately, to me, of the Jason Hayward signing with the Cubs.
Yep.
That is an anchor around your neck. When Trout plays, he's fantastic. But Rendon is even worse.
Yeah, he's
Rendon
just a
never
disaster.
plays. Oh, God.
He's just cashing his check.
Yes. Don't get me started on these athletes. Once they get the big money, decide,
No.
yeah, I got a hangnail. I'm out for 6 months.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. The debate that rages nonstop forever and ever in every sport when you say those 3 words, Hall of Fame.
Everybody groans in unison.
Doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, or, of course, baseball. Scott Rowland, 7-time All-Star, 8 Gold Gloves, gets into the Hall of Fame. The only one voted in, of course, we discussed earlier. Fred McGriff gets in the, whatever you want to call it, the New Era Contemporary Veterans Committee.
Yeah,
whatever. It is. Now, I'm more happy about Fred McGriff. Fred McGriff was a lot more deserving candidate to me. Can I just tell you some stats, and then we will discuss? Okay, Scott Rowland gets in. 75% of the votes are needed among the sports writers.
Right.
Rowland gets 76.3. Do you want to know who the next 3 are who just missed out and who could be eventually voted in? And I've heard other people say, why do you guys get so worked up about this? Why do you care? Because the Baseball Hall of Fame might be the one last one that actually tries to keep it pure as they can. As much as we hate the fact they don't let Pete Rose in, as much as we hate the fact they don't let the steroid guys in, we thought they were trying to keep this pure. And the best of the best of the best, as opposed to the NFL. Got to have 5 guys every year. Got to have 5 guys every year. The next 3. You ready for this?
Gary Sheffield.
Nope. He's lower than that. And Sheffield's better than these guys. Sheffield is better than the 3 I'm going to give you. Okay? Number 2, after Rowland, he's 1. Todd Helton, 72.2% of the vote.
Hell no, Todd Helton does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Number 3, Billy Wagner, 68.1%.
I would take Wagner over Helton, barely.
And number 4, Andrew Jones, 58.1%.
No, Andrew Jones does not. No.
And I'm going to tell you something. If this doesn't prove how this system is corrupt because these asshole writers hold things against people like Curt Schilling, what I heard, I'm not going to say 100% for sure, 99% sure, Jeff Kent is out now. 10 years eligibility, he's done. Jeff Kent was arguably one of the top 5 second basemen of all time.
Yes, he was.
But because he was a prick, but because he didn't like the writers, because he didn't like his teammates, he didn't like anybody, but he just played the game as hard as he could.
Oh, gee. Who else does that sound like? Maybe one of the greatest Detroit Tigers in history?
I'm just saying. I don't want it to go the way the NFL now, where they've now got the players voting for their own all-stars. Because the writers, at least I believe the writers actually do get to watch more, do get to see more. The players are actually working for one team, one entity.
Right.
They're practicing. They're working on their game plans. They don't have time to look at all the other teams.
Watch everybody else. No.
So that's why I believe the writers are better to judge. Same thing with college football. We always talk about how we trust the AP poll more.
Yeah, the coaches poll is a joke.
They don't get to see every team play.
All they know are their own conference, are part of their own conference.
Exactly. There's a built-in bias. But now I begin to wonder with these writers. Again, they hold Curt Schilling's attitude, his politics against him. They hold Jeff Kent's attitude against him. They should both be in the Hall of Fame ahead of Scott Rowland. I'm sorry. And
Scott Rowland was good. I don't think he's Hall worthy.
And I heard somebody today on the radio arguing. This guy made a ton of sense, though. He said, if you have to think about it for more than 5 seconds, is this guy Hall of Fame? Then he's not. He's not. You shouldn't have to think about it that long. And it just drives me crazy.
Yep.
And we're going to see more and more of this coming with baseball. I guarantee. I just told you the next 3 possibly in line.
Yeah.
Because they'll get bumped up next year. They'll get more votes next year.
Then you're going to have to look at the pitching side of it now, too. What's the new threshold?
200. 200 wins. Used to be 300. Now it's 200.
All right. If it's 200, where's Burley?
He's still in there. He's still hanging on.
14 straight years, 200-plus innings.
He's still, I saw his name.
Perfect game.
I saw his name.
No hitter. Gold Glove winner multiple times. All-star starter.
Needs some help.
So.
Could happen. Could happen. All right, real quick, just a couple little NASCAR tidbits, and then we're going to wrap up segment 2 and save everything else for segment 3. The NASCAR Hall of Fame induction ceremony was back on January 20th, last Friday, I believe.
Yes.
And that included Matt Kenseth, of course, a guy who I love, who's been just unfairly singled out as the reason why we had to go to the playoffs.
Just because the guy was consistently good. That's what you're supposed to be.
Then he had Herschel McGriff, who drove in 7 different decades.
Yeah, Herschel McGriff was a phenomenal all-around driver.
Then I will leave Kirk Shelmerdine to you.
The leader of the Junkyard Dogs / Flying Aces pit crew for Dale Earnhardt through the 80s and into the 90s. Championship winning crew chief. The guy was the crew chief. He was also a tire changer. Back when you only had a handful of guys per team. These guys won the pit crew competition 4 straight years before the Rainbow Warriors came on, where they were the first team that all they did was the pit crew work. They trained, they brought in athletes for it. That revolutionized the pit crew there, but these were the workmanlike guys. They did everything in the shop and did the pit crew stuff. Shelmerdine was a phenomenal leader of that group. Well-deserved.
4 Cup titles for Dale Earnhardt Sr. as his crew chief.
Yep. And you know when a driver believes in his crew, because after the pit crew competitions, Dale was there pushing the car into victory lane with the guys to celebrate.
Very, very cool. So, to wrap up our NASCAR news for the week. Of course, he does not own the company anymore because he is a brilliant businessman and sold it quite a while back. But it is the title of an awesome Van Halen song. Cabo Wabo is now the official tequila of NASCAR.
And there you go.
So hopefully we will see the Red Rocker at some of these NASCAR races in 2023. That's it for segment 2. We will be right back.
Potpourri.
Feeling mildly fatigued? Need a day off even if you just took one a few days ago? Make $30 million a year but just don't want to work for it? You need to join the NBA Load Management Club right now. When they're not napping or texting, guest lecturers Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving will describe foolproof ways to earn tens of thousands of dollars by not doing anything. Sports Frenzy 2.0, available on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, is currently negotiating with LeBron James to bring his popular How to Make the Hall of Fame Without Really Trying webinar live and in person to the Load Management Club. Thanks again to Sports Frenzy 2.0 and all you apathetic fans out there for making us a success. All right, everybody, segment 3, third and final segment here, Sports Frenzy 2.0, taping Wednesday, January the 25th, 2023. This will hit the morning of the 26th. He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And as Dave said at the end of the last segment, potpourri. Little bit of everything here. Little bit of this, little bit of that. We will start off with a little bit of college football and bad, awful news for my Hurricanes. Number one, we talked about this a few weeks back on National Signing Day, how the top-rated cornerback, Cormani McLean, had not shown up to his signing ceremony at his high school with the Miami Hurricanes congratulatory cake sitting there lonely, forlorn on the gym floor. Well, guess who screwed over the Hurricanes? Deion fucking Sanders. I hate Deion Sanders. As much as I do respect a lot of the things he's trying to teach his players, I hate Deion Sanders!
They paid more money.
Yeah, and I mentioned last week the whole thing with Florida and how their booster club, the Gator Collective,
failed to put up the money promised.
$13 million. So you've got a lot of people on both sides of this issue saying, number one, that's the start of the apocalypse for college football. Other people, no, this is the way it should be.
No, This is not a name, image, likeness deals. This is flat out paying these kids bribe money to come play for your school.
How long until we start paying high school players?
My God.
And then, of course, the other bad news for Hurricanes fans and alumni is Ed Reed could not come to an agreement on a contract to be the head coach of Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, he kind of dug his own way out of that contract with his profanity-laced tirade against the practice field and all the everything around the program. So not a good way to get started.
I love Ed Reed. Don't get me wrong. He's never struck me as the most stable, mature person in the world.
No.
And unfortunately, a lot of the great Hurricanes players fall into that club. So
yeah, that about sums it up. Who do you have as your most stable person right now? Greg Olson?
Yeah. And of course, we know somebody personally who's badmouth Greg Olson.
Yeah, yep.
So he who shall not be named. Somebody who's worried about his reputation. Let's put it that way.
Whose interactions with him when he was a young college student. I could see that Olson at least has matured out.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of people saying what I feel is that you want to right now compare the number one team on Fox, the number one team on CBS. Olson is kicking Tony Romo's ass when Tony Romo's not eating something on air.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, that was a perfect pass, even though it was a little wide. Yeah. What?
Yeah. I told you, people! You wouldn't listen to me. I've been saying this for a year. He's an idiot.
And it's
He's
only
dragging
getting
Nance
worse.
down with him. They sound like two 14-year-old girls in the booth. Oh, Jim, that was so funny. Oh, Tony, you're so cool.
Okay, Velma.
Jesus Christ. All right, before we get away from college football, of course, California has got to stick their goddamn noses in and fuck everything up.
Because why wouldn't they? They're California.
They were the ones that started the snowball, the first snowball rolling downhill that led to the NIL deals that we were just talking about. Now, they want to take it one step further. They are trying to pass the College Athlete Protection Act, which will actually make athletic departments in universities profit share with the players.
This is absolute ridiculous communistic tendencies.
Let me give an example. With California, obviously, since for the first step, it will just be California. Then all these other lemming states will follow suit because for some reason, nobody's got the goddamn balls to stand up to California and say, just go away, fall off the map already.
They're trying with all these mudslides.
A USC player under this profit-sharing College Athlete Protection Act law.
So damn stupid.
Over a 4-year span, a USC football player could get over 4 years $800,000.
Absolutely stupid.
And again, I say again, when does this start leaking into the high schools? If we're going to keep doing this with colleges, when does this start? When did colleges become the minor leagues for sports instead of being institutions of higher learning? And again, when do we start factoring in the goddamn cost of tuition with these athletes?
I believe the downfall began in the mid to late 90s is pretty much when everything started to blow up, when you started to introduce the BCS.
Then it became all about greed. It became all about how much
TV
money
revenue,
can we
how
make.
much money
and
can
then the
we
players,
make?
Ed O'Bannon,
and
I
then
want
you
my
had
money.
to start making more
video games.
You had to start increasing the number of bowl games because you needed more TV revenue.
All right, I'm done with college football. Hopefully for a while, because my blood pressure is going up.
Not a good thing.
Let's talk golf. I'm sure this will make me feel a lot better. Golf is a calming, soothing game.
No, it's not.
Live Golf has reached a TV deal.
Woohoo!
A TV and streaming deal with the CW.
Oh! Well, they got nothing else to show.
Yeah, they pretty much have taken all the superhero crap and flushed that down the toilet. So
they ruined that, so why not? Hey, at least they found an outlet. So, but then Patrick Reed, live golfer, tried to go up to talk to Rory McIlroy. More on this one as they're practicing for the Dubai Desert Classic. Where's that played?
I believe that's Dubai, Saudi Arabia, right?
I believe so. So Reed goes to say hi to McElroy. McElroy completely ignores him. So Reed's just like, whatever, dude, and flicks a live golf tee at him in frustration. And Rory's like, well, I'm not going to talk to him because he served me with a subpoena on Christmas with my family. Rory, you're a piece of crap, hypocritical bastard. If you have such a problem with Saudi Arabia, what the hell are you doing playing in the Dubai Classic? You and Tiger Woods can go screw each other on the back nine and go to hell.
Absolutely agree. 100% agree. Could not say it better. So let's talk about another sport that just got a major TV deal for 2023. ESPN, CBS Sports Network, pickleball!
God, no!
This is how desperate these channels are for content. That pickleball, professional pickleball, I can't believe I'm saying professional pickleball, will be aired on ESPN. Believe it's ESPN
The Ocho?
Plus. Probably the Ocho. That's where every sport goes to die. But CBS Sports Network, oh my God.
Seriously,
how shameful.
Come on.
How bad.
That's pathetic.
Pickleball.
God
knows I can't sleep and I turn on the TV at 3 a.m. if I see pickleball.
Well, CBS has to have something on the summer on Saturday night since they lost the SRX to ESPN.
You think they'd actually put it on regular CBS on Saturday
I don't know.
nights? Oh my God.
Would it surprise you?
Oh, nothing surprises me anymore, Dave. Nothing.
I hear Tony Romo's going to do the call.
He's going to eat a pickle. He's going to eat a pickle while trying to talk about pickleball. Another fringe sport that Dave and I have been railing on for weeks and weeks. Power slap. Noted concussion specialist Dr. Chris Nowinski had the quote of the week. The quote of the week. I almost made him one of my Clint Eastwood Badasses of the week. But then I thought, I can't. A doctor? No. But basically summing up how sane and rational people like Dave and I feel on Power Slap. What's next? Who can survive a stabbing? If that doesn't perfectly sum up how pathetic our culture is right now, I don't know what else can.
Yeah, I got
because he's
nothing.
Right. That's probably what's next. If you have not seen footage, one guy, his entire side of his face is swollen to the point where his eye is. We're not talking boxing or UFC or MMA.
No, it's just
two idiots standing there slapping each other until somebody falls down or dies.
Or whatever. It's just stupid.
And of course, we talked about the irony of this being pushed out there by Dana White, who was caught on New Year's Eve slapping his wife.
He and his wife were playing power slap with each other.
Just stupidity beyond belief.
Uh...
All right, moving on a little bit to NCAA basketball. My Hurricanes are still in the top 25, 16-4 as we tape, 20th in the AP poll. Notre Dame, unfortunately, not doing so well. They are 9-12.
And finally, 20 years too late, but after 23 seasons, Mike Bray is stepping away from the program and retiring. I'll drink to that.
Yeah, that's what he's going to be doing.
That's all he does. Have you seen that freaking nose of his?
I have never seen a guy, a coach,
who looks like he just woke up from a bender at the tip-off.
maybe Bob Huggins. That's about
That's
it.
about it. Even Huggins at least tries to look presentable on the sideline, on the court side.
He shaves.
Yeah, which is more than Bray does. Bray just looks like a homeless guy now.
Yeah, they tell Mike Bray to stay away from the electronic timer with his breath because they're afraid it's going to start a fire.
Yeah, it's about damn time.
Yeah, I'll be playing one show a night, 2 on Sundays, kids.
Yeah, but mark my words, they're going to go back to that Delaware team and hire Martin Inglesby, former Notre Dame player. That's my prediction.
Oh, I trust you. I definitely trust you.
Inglesby was I think served a year as an assistant coach under Bray at Notre Dame before going off to Delaware, where Bray was at after serving under Coach K. So I would not be surprised if they brought Inglesby in.
Yeah, I have no clue as to where they're going to go because there's just not that many good head coaches out there. You know, you've got to find that diamond in the rough, and Notre Dame. The thing that I've always said about Notre Dame basketball, and I've always rooted for basketball over football, because at least basketball, you feel like they're the underdogs. Whereas, the football team, it's God's team. We were chosen to win every year, undefeated. We are the Catholic Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Whatever. But basketball, I always kind of felt more of an underdog affinity. So I've always followed the basketball team. When Dougherty did the one and done and left.
That ruined the program.
That ruined his career and Notre Dame's program. He should have stayed. Yep. Built what he had going here at Notre Dame instead of getting lured by the easy money back to North Carolina, screwing up there, failing there, and then destroying his career and screwing up Notre Dame.
Yep. Couldn't have said that better.
Purdue is number 1 again. Gonzaga gets beat by Loyola Marymount. At home, 68-67 here this past week.
Ending a 76-game home winning streak.
I'm going to say 75. I'm on dispute on this. A lot of people saying 76. They're counting a neutral site game as one of their
hell no.
Their home wins. It's 75.
No, it's 75. You cannot count a neutral site win as a home game. Sorry.
Yeah, it's 75.
Doesn't count.
And that's 75. Not your fault because most media outlets are counting at 76.
Yeah.
But I saw one person say 75, did the research. They're counting a neutral site game.
Yeah, you can't count a neutral site as a home win.
So it's
sorry,
still
75.
75
That's a pretty damn impressive run.
Yes. And so somebody said, they better fire Mark Few right now, goddammit. God, he's got to be the best coach out there now, considering Coach K's gone.
Yeah.
Roy Williams gone.
There you go.
It's got to be either him or Self. And Self's not doing real well right now. Calipari's not doing real well at Kentucky. They're trying to run him out.
Yeah, there
are people holding signs up a couple weeks ago.
Go to Texas.
Yeah, take the Texas job.
Getting kicked out of the arena for it. Come on, that was dumb.
All right. I think it's time to do our Clint Eastwood Badasses of the Week.
I think it's time.
I have 2. Believe it or not, I have more badasses than dumbasses. Well, I think I've got 2 and 2. I will revise it. I got 2 and 2.
There you go.
Number 1, this one was easy. Easy peasy. Ex-Broncos defensive lineman Derek Wolfe. Friend of his calls him up out in Colorado. Says, we have got a problem with a mountain lion. Says, let's go. Let's do it. Let's take care of it. They go investigate. They got a woman living in a house. It's a rural community.
Yep.
She says, my cats have been acting really weird. They saw tracks on her lawn.
Big tracks.
Derek Wolfe tracked this mountain lion up a mountain, basically.
Yeah.
said this kicked his ass more than anything he ever did in training camp or in any NFL game. Clean kill, legal kill.
Yep.
With a bow and arrow, kills a 200-pound mountain lion that was terrorizing, killed dogs in this rural Colorado community.
Yep.
Derek Wolfe, you check the
Badass.
picture out. Check that picture out where he's
That
holding up.
thing is as big as he is.
Yes. Derek Wolfe is a badass.
Yep. He's a hunter. He guides. So this isn't just on a whim going out. This is what he does.
But he said he's getting a lot of flack, a lot of people giving him a hard time, ignorant, stupid people who live in their mother's basement. How dare you kill that poor innocent mountain lion?
No, that mountain
it was
lion
all legal.
Was a threat. There you go.
And he also said, I will reuse all of it. I will eat that mountain lion.
Yep.
He is going to take the meat. He is going to eat that mountain lion.
Yep. Nothing will be wasted.
Now, my other badass of the week, not nearly as impressive as Derek Wolfe, but instead of actions, I'm going with words. Now, this man is more known for his actions on the football field and with some very, very attractive women. But because we hate Aaron Rodgers so much here on Sports Frenzy 2.0, I have got to say my man, Rob Gronkowski, is a badass because he was the only one with the guts to call out Aaron Rodgers after one of his stupid weekly appearances on the Pat McAfee show.
Yep.
To say, I heard something while Aaron Rodgers was talking that bothers me.
Yep. That Rodgers is more worried about winning an MVP than he is winning a Super Bowl.
And good for Gronk to pick up on that, call him out, because nobody else wanted to, because they're all scared of the great Aaron Rodgers.
No, if Aaron Rodgers was so damn great, he'd have more than one damn Super Bowl. He's me, the hell with the team.
And again, I can't understand. Why do the Jets fans, why do the Raiders fans want this guy?
Stupidity.
I'm telling you, I'd rather have Jimmy G or Derek Carr. Team players who actually care about playing and winning than
For
Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers. All right, moments of silence. Couple I missed last week. Couple from baseball. Now, for me, personally, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, the first great baseball team was the Oakland A's. Reggie Jackson, Vida Blue, and Sal Bando. Sal Bando was a member of that team. And then, of course, the next one was the Big Red Machine later on in the 70s. But I remember that Oakland A's team and how great they were.
That was a hell of a
how
team.
How dominant they were. And Sal Bando was an integral part of that. Thoughts and prayers for the passing of one Sal Bando. Now, again, on the baseball front, not necessarily as big of a name. Not Frank Thomas from the White Sox, but old school Frank Thomas. Three-time All-Star. Passed away. Played for various teams, including, I believe, the Mets. And then finally, again, something I missed last week. I didn't have time to really give it its proper due. And, of course, now things are starting to get a little bit darker, a little bit more hinky, a little bit more disturbing with the death of Georgia offensive lineman Devin Willock. Of course, there was a staff member in the car with him in a car accident. They died. Two other, I believe, team members were in the car that were injured. Chandler LaCroix was the female staff member who died. Now, of course, in this day and age, everybody's got to dig up everything they can. Now they're saying, well, they might have been at a strip club. You know, they might have been partying a little too hard after the national championship. It doesn't matter. There are a bunch of young people hurt or dead, including somebody who possibly had the potential to have a fantastic, luxurious life for him and his family. Hopefully, it turns out that it was just an accident and nothing more. So our thoughts and prayers to the family of Devin Willock. You want to say it, or do you want me to?
Pivot.
This week, it takes on a special meaning, because if you check out the weekend edition, we will be reviewing That 90s Show.
Red Foreman, our beloved character, is back in action.
Of course, since the early 90s, a staple here on Sports Frenzy. A man that we have always loved and admired for his willingness to put his foot up somebody's ass. We named an entire segment for him, and it is stuck, and it has been around for decades. The Red Foreman Dumb Asses of the Week. Now, initially, I thought I only had one. I came up with a second one, shifted things around a little bit.
There you go. Who you got for us?
Number one, Horseface himself, Shannon Sharp, who thinks he is the ultimate badass because he screams and yells at one Skip Bayless.
Anybody can scream and yell at Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless, you could knock him down with a wet paper towel, and he would be on the ground in the fetal position crying for his mother. But Shannon Sharp thinks he's a badass because he gets mad and yells at Skip Bayless. He took it too far this time, though. Not with Skip Bayless, but at a Lakers game. On January the 20th, Shannon Sharp started getting into it with players on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Not cool.
Including in the stands, getting into it with Ja Morant's father, T. Morant. Here's the sad thing about all this. Number one, yes, they hugged it out. That's fine. Anybody else would have been kicked out.
Yep. Shannon Sharp should have been removed from the game.
He got escorted out for halftime, came back for the second half.
Never should have been allowed back.
Here's the problem, and this brings in our dumbass of the century. If you side with LeBron James, you get whatever you want. LeBron James actually, within a couple days of this game, Shannon Sharp's sticking up for LeBron James. So he gets to go back to his seat, right? Within a couple days of this game, another game, a couple people in the front row were yelling at LeBron James. He points at them, tells the usher, kick them out. They're gone.
Bullshit. Absolute crap.
And that's why LeBron James is hated along with Aaron Rodgers on Sports Frenzy 2.0. Finally, bringing in something I talked about last week, an actual Clint Eastwood badass from last week. Dave can chime in on this because it's the NHL. Last week, I talked about the situation involving Ivan Provorov and how he said for religious reasons he would not participate in the Philadelphia Flyers Pride Night.
Right. Well within his right to do so.
I agree completely, and that's why I made him a badass last week.
As did his coach supporting him.
on a show called NHL Now. I don't know what channel, what streaming platform it's on, but this prick, this dumbass NHL analyst, EJ Hradek. Tell me if you've heard this before. But from the other side, EJ Hradek says if Provorov doesn't like participating in things like this Pride Night, he can get on a plane and leave the country, or he can choose to assimilate. That's his direct quote word, assimilate with his teammates and participate in the ceremony.
Screw you, you ignorant piece of crap analyst.
When I hear that word assimilate,
screw you. There is no fucking assimilation. It's a free goddamn country. You can make your own choice on what you participate in or not. There is still freedom in this country.
Why is it, though, he tells Provorov he can get on a plane and go back to his country, but we hear Madonna and Bette Midler, oh, if Donald Trump gets reelected, we're going to leave the country. Put them on the plane. Put them on the plane. They're volunteering.
Get the hell out. Oh, this is...
There's more coming this weekend, kids.
There is.
Saturday
There's
morning.
More stupidity.
The weekend edition. Dave and I will be back with pop culture, movies, TV, music. We'll see you then.